everyone. Welcome to the being recorded. Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay. How's the light on me? Is it fuzzy? Is it good?
I think it's good.
Okay. Awesome. Welcome everybody to the Quick Start Basics class. This is our number 6 of the 10 core commitments, which is a 10-weekly presentation. We are Bess McCarty, coach for network marketing and a shrink of MLM, and Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network. We partner to bring you this generic training, Quick Start Basics for network marketers, every Sunday right here at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's part of our generic school for network marketers, the MLM Millionaire Club. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders and raise the bar in this profession. So we're super excited to be together tonight. Our goal is to equip and empower and entertain and educate you on the basics of building your business. The goal of the school is to teach you how to build a strong and profitable business. Before we get started, get into details here, and introductions, I invite you to grab a pen and paper so that we can let you know what's coming up this week. Every Monday through Friday, Jeff and I teach a class online called the MLM Leadership Show. And this is every weekday. We come on at noon Eastern Time for a half-hour lunchtime show where you can get food for thought and grow for lunch. So we take 30 minutes to present one of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership by John Maxwell. That's from a book, and a free book is available at that Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. A lot of our students hop onto that show all the time for added inspiration. This Monday, tomorrow, is going to be law number 5, which is the law of addition. That means how you add value to people. We've been doing this for a year. Everyone's invited. That's an event, a class that you can invite anyone to, friends, your team, anyone is welcome to join on that. And on Wednesday nights within the school is an inner circle class of leadership. So we take that to a deeper, another level. And we are covering right now this book, the 101 collection by John Maxwell. We're actually taking about 4 months to go through this book because it's a big one. We're actually on the last part of this book called Self-Improvement. And so Wednesday night we are covering this part, laying a foundation for self-improvement. What will it take for me to improve? How can I grow my career? How do I maintain a teachable attitude? What role do others play in my growth? So you can see these are some very fine-tuning, necessary character tweaks and improvements and upgrades that directly affect our business. In fact, how well you do in this and that class affects how well you apply the 10 core commitments here. So everyone here is invited to that class. There is a charge for it. However, because you're part of this class, you get a discount for that class, that Wednesday night Leadership MLM Leadership University. And that is also at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, also 90 minutes a week, and also recorded. So there's a replay, and then after 90 minutes we turn off, just like here, we turn off the recording so that we can have open questions and answers and open coaching. So that is available for everyone. On Tuesdays, Jeff and I also teach a weekly 3 p.m. class, 3 p.m. Eastern class, that is designed to give people a little bit of the school. This Wednesday, the topic is how to get people to events. Interesting enough that it ties into this one too. So y'all are welcome to that. That's a good one to bring people to. If you have team members or thinking about joining the school, that's a good one to give them a sample of the school, a sample of us, and what it's like here in the school. And a bunch of our team members, a bunch of our students actually have Dr. Chris and Joyce and Becky, and a lot of people have invited team members to this class, this Quick Start Basics class tonight, and they have been jumping ranks too, just like everybody else who applies the methods that we teach. So, of course, you're welcome to. Sometimes it helps to have somebody else say what you say, but in a different voice, right? It helps to validate or underline or support the things that you're teaching them. And sometimes they need a different voice, just like our children do, and then needing a parent's voice. So listen to somebody else better. So just an update on what happened today. We had our open house today. We don't have them real often, but we had today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and a whole lot of you were registered for that, and a good number of you made it to that event. It was real fun. We got to share with a lot of new people the favor script and how to do a 10-minute presentation. And then Jeff gave away 5 personal growth books. I think most of them were John Maxwell books. So, and some of you got a book from attending that. Thank you for your support with that. Thank you for those of you who invited team members and other people to that. We helped a bunch more people today. And the replay will be sent out to the 50-some attendees who registered. So we did good. Okay, so the 10 core commitments, this class consists of the foundation, the fundamentals that have made top earners in network marketing for decades. This is the core essence of everything that you need to know in network marketing right here in this class. And we repeat them so that you can get them deeper each time and learn them from a different way. Tony Robbins says repetition is the mother of success. And we hope that you keep attending until you can teach these to your team. The 10 core commitments, these foundations are, number 1, getting started right. Number 2, be here a year from now. Number 3, personal development. Number 4, market daily. It means invite people, contact people. Number 5, present daily. Do that 10-minute presentation. 2 to 5 times a day, we hope. Number 6, attend a weekly presentation, which is tonight's topic. Number 7, attend a weekly core training, which you are on right now. So you're doing number 7. Number 8, attend a monthly regional. Number 9, attend all company conventions. And number 10, have a massive monthly action plan. So we cover one of these a week with recaps in the middle and at the end. And when you have attended all 10 of them or their replays, please let us know, because we have a certificate for you for that level. So this is something to keep track of yourself and, mark down number 1 through 10. I either attended it live in the class or I listened to the replay after that came out. Then when you've done all 10, just private message me. We have a certificate for that level. There are 10 in all. 10 levels of certification in all. So this is a good training for you, good discipline for you to learn to track things and keep track of things. So the reason to do the certification level, somebody said, well, why, I don't really need the certificate or the acknowledgement. Well, it really is good to celebrate and congratulate with you, and also it inspires your fellow team members that they can do that too. So it's good for you, it's good for other people, and it helps you to be aware, keep track of what you do, and we want to celebrate that with you. Helps to develop your discipline and give you a pat on the back too. So that's why we do it. This training is for all levels. It's for beginners, advanced, people who are just into retailing, and also people who are here to build a team, people who are into leadership. Want to take that, that's the ultimate level, is taking your team or in your network marketing business to a position of leadership. So this helps you to build a team, lay a good foundation, and make money, all the stuff that you need. We hope that you have fun on the way there too. So people from, 5 countries now are in the school, and we get testimonials, stories regularly. People just let us know when you jumped a rank, because we want to congratulate you for that. Don't be shy about that. Let us know any success that you have. I attended my company convention for the first time, or anything that's a step for you, a step up. We want to know that, and feel free to post that in the Facebook group, the MLM Millionaire Club group. so that we can congratulate you. Please step forward and let us do that. Otherwise, we might not know. Okay, and so let's turn it over now to Jeff for the beginning part of this Attend a Weekly Presentation lesson.
All right, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, so you're going to go out and build your business. Appreciate everybody for jumping on here tonight. Hopefully what we're going to be able to do is give you guys some good stuff. Jim's here. The other Jim is here. Jim Bannon, Jim B. See a bunch of people jumping on here. Steve, how are you? Lisa's here. Pasha's here. Dr. Chris. Benny. A couple numbers I don't know. But we'll get to everybody here. So I appreciate everybody for jumping on here. I see David Roeder's here. What's happening? So we go out and, there's kind of levels, is what I would say. There's levels in the company, but there's also not only levels of interest, but levels of commitment. And your goal is to basically walk people as far as they're willing to go. Here's what I found. If you're going to build a business with a lot of people who initially will at least open the door to talk to you. There's tons of people that will talk to you. And there's a few people that will actually move from talking to you to the next step, which is asking questions and wanting more info. From there, you're going to go from, the people who want more info, and you're going to basically give them the whole presentation and get them some videos, and then, what's next? Well, the next kind of step up would be third party, being able to introduce them to somebody else. What I've found is what a lot of people do is they want people to watch a video and instantly get in. They think that that's how it works. They think, well, I've contacted them, opened the door, I've invited them to a presentation, they've now heard about it, and now all of a sudden, because they've watched a video or because they've talked to somebody, now they're going to get in and everything's going to work out. And what I can tell you is that's usually not the case. From there, what happens, what I would like to do with the person is take them from there to get them to a live event. Now, the reason I want them to come out to the live event is you're also not only looking at what they're, not only looking to cover everything you need to cover, meaning answer all the questions, but I'm also looking at the level of commitment this person's willing to play at. Because here's what I found. The people who show up on a regular basis contributed about 90% of the money I made over a long period of time. They were worth about 90%. The people who showed up to the weekly event. Now, obviously, we have people showing up here to a weekly event, so that tells me right away what the commitment level is, and I can kind of gauge. It's funny, the people who are committed to showing up here, I can actually see them going up the chart inside of their own company. So it works in multiple companies. It doesn't matter the company. It doesn't matter the product line. It doesn't matter how long you've been in. It doesn't matter what your prior success has been. But when you start committing to this, I see people moving up. So from that point, what do I want? Well, if you go from attending a weekly opportunity meeting to a training, that to me is a higher level of commitment. And then you go from that commitment to maybe a regional event. What would be the highest level of commitment? The highest level of commitment in the process of attending is basically a convention. If somebody's willing to take time out for an entire weekend, I know what level of commitment I have. I also know the long-termness of my business. So what I do is I can gauge things. You can gauge your business off of who's attending and what level they're attending. Now, obviously, if you're not attending, you wouldn't know. So the first thing is you have to get to the point where you attend. Let's say, and I think this happens in a lot of people's cases, there isn't a weekly event around. So what I would challenge you to do is first find someone else's and attend that. Right now I know for what I do, I have one weekly in the company that I'm in. So what I suggest everybody to do is plug into the one I'm doing if you don't already have one you're going to in a local market. That's what I say to my own people. So what I would suggest is if you're in a different company, you start either attending someone else's or watch this, you learn your presentation and you give your presentation online, and anybody you recruit, you have them show up. And here's the key. It's the same time, same place, same story every single time. And you're like, yeah, but shouldn't it be from somebody different, something different? I think it's funny. I watch a lot of comedians, and what is amazing to me is people think that as a comedian you should tell a different joke every time, and what I realized is they don't tell a different joke every time. They say the same joke every time, and they might change the order just a little bit of, you know, the intro or whatever, but once they get a skit down, they say the same thing over and over and over again, city after city, in some cases country after country, in some cases language after language, you know. Even the language barrier they'll go into. And there's a reason behind this. That sameness over and over and over again creates a couple things. It creates confidence. The reason you want to attend your weekly open house, some people call it an open house, some people call it a business briefing, some people call it an opportunity meeting. I don't care what you call it. It's basically the event that happens where you're going over kind of the main areas of the business. You're probably going over a little bit maybe of the industry. You're probably hitting the company itself. You're probably hitting the need in the marketplace. You're hitting the product. You're hitting the compensation. And you're also talking about the timing and the talent. Most opportunity meetings cover those things. Now, opportunity meetings are all different. I've seen them 30 minutes, and I've also seen them 3 hours. There is kind of a ratio that I've found is the more money you're making, the longer usually you can go without people being mad. That's usually how it works. Like I went to an opportunity meeting that was almost 2 hours, and I was kind of sitting there the whole time, and when I looked down, I was like, wow, this guy's gone for 2 hours. But at that time, he was probably number 5 in the world in income. So therefore, nobody minded that he went a little bit long. And he also made it interesting enough, was able to cover enough material and teach us about what was going on. And I can tell you, the presentation itself was less than 30 minutes. The presentation itself was less than 30 minutes. The build-up to the presentation was probably 30 minutes, maybe 45. He was able to kind of tell us where he was from, how he grew up, the struggles he had finding the opportunity, and then it was here's the presentation. Then afterwards, he kind of talked about what he saw, the leadership, what he saw the people who were making money were doing. He's like, there's these kinds of people, and here's the people I can see who are making money. So in the beginning, you want to find an event. You want to find a meeting that's there once a week. If you don't have one once a week to go to or can't commit to one, watch one online. Watch one online. And I would watch it from the best people that you could possibly watch it from that are in your company. Find out who the top money earners are and find the opportunity. I always look for company name and then opportunity, and hopefully I look for a date. You know, what is the date of this event that I'm watching? Now, I recently watched an opportunity meeting that was 7, 8, 9 years old. The reason I watched it, it was at that time from the #1 money earner in the company, so I wanted to watch that one and find out what was he saying differently than what's being said now. I wanted to know the things he particular hit on, and it just happened to be a he that was presenting. If your top money earner is a she, watch that. And guys, I go on and I watch a lot of opportunity meetings of other companies. Not because I'm looking to get recruited or sponsored or want to join, but I found that great presenters have things in common, but sometimes they'll have 1 or 2 things that they say that I was like, oh, that's so good. And when I go to an opportunity meeting, just a couple things you want to do. You always want to show up early. You always want to show up early. Here's what I found. I have gotten to know more of the top leaders in the industry because I showed up early. I've gotten to know the people who run the events because I showed up early. I've gotten introduced to leaders, leadership. I've gotten introduced to what's happening, you know, before everybody else knows, many, many times because I was early. The next thing to just being early is be dressed correctly. An opportunity meeting is just that. It's an opportunity. It's kind of a showcase of your company and what's going on, so you want to dress appropriately. And it's amazing that you really have to go into all this, but some people aren't used to. Most people are used to just showing up at work, and as long as you got hired, you can kind of look however you want to at a lot of jobs. And what I can tell you is how you look has a lot to do with Guess what? The people who are joining you. What you dress like has a lot to do with the people who are joining you. Because you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Here's what I found. A lot of you would like a super successful, money, motivated person on your team. Did you know those people dress a certain way and they're looking to associate with other people who dress that way? And I know this for sure. I've got a couple friends that they like designer stuff and this, that, and the other thing, and they would never partnership with somebody that doesn't understand what designer is and what's popular right now. They would never partnership with you, ever. They probably wouldn't even listen to the pitch based on who you are and what you wear. Now, is that shallow and this, that, and the other thing? Yeah, but I'm talking about people who make more than $400,000 a year. In some case, one of the guys makes that more like a week. He wouldn't even sit down and listen. Now, that might be shallow, but some of you want those kind of people on your team. I'm just giving you the heads up. Those kind of people look at that stuff. They care what kind of watch you have on. They look, you know, if it's a guy, they're looking for the watch. They're looking for the shoes. They're looking for the belt. They're looking for, do things match? Are they dirty? Are they pressed? Are they clean? I know that might sound crazy, but they look at that. Is it in style? Is it how do I say this appropriately? Is it to your shape? Because you understand that certain cuts of certain coats and certain cuts of certain pants are made for certain people. They're made for certain sizes. And if you're wearing something that's completely wrong, the people who are aggressive, that are money motivated, they pick up all that. Now, you might not like that, but this isn't about what you like. It's about what works. It's about what duplicates. So I had to learn all this the hard way because I basically grew up around two people. My dad, who's an artist, who basically was the dead opposite of that. So my dad and my mom kind of grew up during a time when the hippie thing was really cool. And it was really cool to grow your hair out. I have long hair, so obviously, you know, I followed some of that. It was really cool to dress, you know, appropriate to their time. And my dad took that into his art, and he was very, very basic. Everything was simple, simple, simple. Everything, no patterns. Everything was, you know, color coordinated, and it was blue jeans and a black T-shirt and, you know, flip-flops every single day, no matter what the occasion, what was going on. And if it was business, 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 he might go as far as to put on a nicer shirt, and then it was some kind of like twill coat, because he was talking to artists. And that was as dressed up as usually they got. And he was the marketing director. So it was also appropriate to the people he was talking to. He was okay with facial hair and everything else. That was okay. But I can tell you, the more successful you get inside your company, the more people you deal with, the more you have to adapt to some of this, because if not, you'll blow people out. If not, people will judge you. Here's the thing, people are going to judge you before you open your mouth. Guys, that's terrible that that's the way it is, but that's the way it is. Now, here's another thing. How many people would like their business to go into different cultures? Meaning, how many people would love the Asian community come into your team? How many people would love to have the Hispanic community come into your team? How many people would love to have a European group? How many people would love to have a group that speaks a different language? Do you know it's even more important when you go into those communities? The Asian community evaluates all of that ahead of time. You could be the best friend in the world, but they're going to evaluate all that. So I've picked up and learned some of this because I've been able to go outside the country, because I have friends from other countries, because I've done business and real estate with different people, because I've done mortgages for different people. They look at this stuff. Now, for a guy, there's certain things you want to keep. You know, you want to keep your hair. You want to keep your nails. If it looks like you've been digging in the garden just prior to the meeting, you know, I've got friends that work on vehicles. And, you know, you look at their hand and everything's black and it looks like they've been digging in dirt or something we don't know about, and they're out shaking hands. Like, people back off from you. You have to kind of keep that under control. You know, there's things like lava soap, and, you know, there's brushes to get underneath and in between everything to be able to, your hands have to be clean. You know, I have some friends that go to the links to actually get their nails and their everything clipped and shined and everything. Now, some people just aren't into, like, I'm just not into that. It's easier for some people just to do this business over the phone, which is fine. I'm just talking about at what level do you want to play the game. What I can say is the more money you want to make, the more you have to look at all this. Keep all the hairs in line. Now, let's jump from guys to women. You know, there's certain hair, you know, what you're doing with your hair, what you're dressed like, just as important. You know, I've had to talk to people about, hey, you're coming to an open house. The objective is to get people interested in the event, in the opportunity. Hopefully not in you. You know, you're not the opportunity here, although some people are dressed like they're trying to be the opportunity at the meeting. This is not a club. This is not a dating field. And, you know, we have to mention this to people so that way, you know, we build a culture that makes sense. Here's the thing. You dress up too much, you look too good, certain people won't feel comfortable letting their spouse go to the meeting. They're like, they're looking around at that stuff going, I'm not letting my husband, I'm not letting my wife go to that meeting. No way. Did you see how they're dressed? Did you see what they're wearing? Did you see what they're showing or revealing? And that might seem corny and like, why would that even be important nowadays? You know, oh my gosh, it's almost 2020 and, you know, free love and everybody's supposed to be able to do everything, but people look at all this. I was told if you have a tattoo, that's fine. But probably the best thing in an opportunity meeting is to have it covered up unless you're in a business that sells tattoos. You know, that's just what I was told. You know, I've got friends, they're tattooed from sleeve to sleeve all the way up, you know, sometimes up to their collar. I've got friends that are tattooed to their face. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to have to work probably about 10 times harder than everybody else. You can still build it, but you will do the work. You will do 10 times as much work because of that. If you want your hair to be longer, you have to work 10 times as hard. I know that. I know that, so I do. I work 10 times as hard as other people because I chose to wear my hair longer. I know that. If you have facial hair, you have to work 10 times as hard. Why? Now, a lot of people are like, why? Well, it goes back to perception, but if you look back in history, this is crazy how I learned this. If you look back in history, the movies, TV shows, articles, written anything to do with art, this really freaked me out. If you look back in history, the villain of almost all movies, facial hair, long hair, that's who the villain was. And what's crazy is people still have that perception in their head. It is a person not to be trusted. And they still do it in movies. Go pull movies and look at just that. I did this one time. I was just looking at the covers of movies coming out, and you know who the villains are in the movies. And I was looking through, and I was like, wow, they are so correct. They're unkept. In a lot of cases, the villain is. It's crazy how that works. But I'm just letting you know this is some stuff you want to know going in, and you might think, man, nobody ever told me this stuff. I've never, you know, I've had this conversation before with people like, I've never heard the stuff you just talked about. And I was like, that's sad because that has a huge impact on what's going on in a room. You know, I had to personally take several people on my team, and I'm like, do you even know what size suit you are? And they're like, I've never had a suit on in my life. And I was like, do you plan on making more than 6 figures? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, congratulations, you got to upgrade. Now, you know, a lot of companies are going to this super relaxed, you know, t-shirt, polo shirt, I'm going to look cool. And I'll tell you, that looks cool if you're in amazing shape. It does. It looks cool if you're in amazing shape. And some of you might be able to pull that off. But most of you, you'll do better if you dress up. Because it's not just the perception from the outside. It's how you feel about what you look like. And most of the time, when you're dressed better, you feel better. Therefore, that radiates out. Remember, you do not recruit what you want, you recruit who you are. And that feeling, what you're projecting out, has everything to do with what you're attracting. I had to learn the difference between watchmakers. I had to learn the difference between shoes. You know, what a good pair of shoes is, what a good pair of shoes looks like. I had to learn about belts. And by the way, shoes and belts are supposed to match, if you don't know that. If you have a chrome belt buckle, then if there's chrome on your shoes, it should also be chrome, and you should wear a chrome watch. It's supposed to all match. But if you have a bronze belt buckle and silver shoes and a gold watch, somebody who makes money is going to point that out right away. They're going to figure that out and be like, this person does not, they don't know what's going on. And I was taught this. They said, go look at Forbes magazine. Go look at Forbes magazine and look at the CEOs of these different companies. Look at what they look like. Look at what they're wearing. And guys, here's the thing. Don't be the a-hole and come to me and show me the one exception. Well, this guy has a beard and this. Yeah, he's also a billionaire. There's one billionaire in the magazine. You picked out the billionaire, and everybody else looks the same. Thank you so much that you can point out the one guy who figured it out and is different. And if you have the background of getting into Harvard, and if your parents were super wealthy, and you drove a Ferrari or a Maybach or a Bugatti, then you can look like that too. But if not, go back to the magazine and cut out and tell me what everybody else looks like. Don't show me the exception. Unless you have the same qualities as that exception. Now, the same thing is true if you look in those magazines at CEO women. What do they look like? Not physically what do they look like. That's not what I'm talking about. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, I have to be 5'10", and I have to be thin, and I have to... No, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is how are they dressed? You know, hair color. If you're in a business that's makeup and hair color driven, you can go a little bit more wild. It's cool. You're able to do that. But if you're not, if you're in something that's super conservative and you decide to turn your hair blue, you're going to have to work 10 times harder. And I have friends on my team that have that. And they're like, well, what about me? You know, I'm tattooed, I have all the piercings and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, you can build too, but here's the thing. You're probably going to attract a bunch of people that look like you. And it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be harder for you. You're going to have to talk to more people. You're going to have to be nicer. You're going to have to be more upfront with people. You're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. You may not like that, but that's just the way it is. So this is just some things I learned over time. When you go to meet somebody, when I go to meet somebody at an open house, my goal is to basically be one step above where everybody else is. Not 20. Like, if everybody's in a polo and jeans, I would be in a button-down shirt. If everybody's in button-down shirt and jeans, I'm going to have a jacket. If everybody's in a button-down shirt and a jacket, I'm going to have a tie. Just one step above. Why? Because it makes you stand out the right way. A lot of people are trying to gain attention the wrong way. You know, they're standing out because their hair's green. They're standing out because they've got the piercings that look like, you know, hockey pucks in their ear. And I say that because I've got friends that look like that, and I tell them that. So I'm not making fun, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, you know, if you've seen that. And I've got people like that on my team. I had people like that on my team succeeding in multiple companies. In fact, some of them moved faster because they understood that's how they looked, and here's the thing. Whatever's weird, that's what you point out first. Whatever's weird, that's what you point out first. You say, hey, look, I know I have green hair, but, you know, the reason why is that's my choice, but I'm actually a recruiter for this company. They point out whatever's weird. See, the moment you point it out and you take away and you diffuse it, you're better off. Just like when I'm introducing myself to people at an event, Hi, my name's Jeff Gamble. My fiance and I run this. I always mention her because if I'm meeting a lady, that it just automatically diffuses any tension that's there. The girl doesn't think, oh, well, this guy's probably trying to hit on me, come after me, that's why he's being nice. No, my fiance and I run the meeting here. She was the one that actually was at the door. Oh, okay, cool, yeah, So these are just tips. These are the 1% things. If you want to make more money, you sit up front. The goofballs sit in the back. I'll be honest, I sat in the back a lot. I still sit in the back. When I start in a company, I usually sit in the back to basically see the crowd and see what's going on. Jim knows that. I try to evaluate where is everybody at, where is everybody sitting. Okay, there's where the people that have the money are sitting. At the next event, that's where I'll be. In fact, I'm not only picking out where, I'm picking who I will sit next to because I'm watching who's really paying attention and who has connection to the speakers and everybody that I want to meet. Like I was able to pick out 5 guys at this last event I went to, and those are the 5 guys I know I will sit with at our next event, and I know where our next event is and when it's going to be and what it's going to take to get there. Those were the guys. There's a core group of people, and I know those 5 guys. I was able to meet them. I was able to get pictures. I was able to get their phone number, and what I've been doing is I've been keeping in touch with them. So I also go to events to meet people. Now, why do I want to meet the people who are core? Core is the group that shows up every week. Cores, they might, watch this, they might not have somebody with them, but they're like, I'm at least committed to show up every week, and I'm looking to make friends and meet all the core people, even if they're not necessarily part of my direct organization, but they're part of a marketplace that I belong to. I want to meet them, and I want to know who they are, because I would like to be a testimonial for them, and I hope one day they will be a testimonial for me that I need to bring a person on board. Does that make sense? Because you can't relate to everybody. And here's what I do. I try to find somebody that's different than me, different personality, different background, different ages. I have a person to go to if somebody's young. I have a person to go to if somebody's female. I have a person to go to if somebody's an S-type. I have a person to go to if somebody's an I. I have a person to go to if somebody's very money-driven. I have somebody to go to if somebody's made a ton of money and grew up in a household with nice cars and a super nice house and on the water and, you know, has the Ivy League school background. I got somebody to take somebody to. I got somebody if you grew up in the hood and you were dodging bullets on your way to school and, you know, you were beat up as a kid and, you know, the neighbors sold drugs. I have that guy too. And I started meeting all these different people. I went there to meet the people because my goal is to connect them with someone they relate to. Because you can't relate to everybody. And here's the thing. If they make friends with somebody in the room and they're friends with them, they keep showing up together. Because you'll show up to meet your friends every week. So when you're sharing this business with people, what you start gauging is where are people at on Maslow's law. We've talked about this before, you know. The basics. When I find somebody and I'm trying to get somebody to come out to the meeting, I struggled with this for a long time. I would try to get these people who are like, yes, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But what I realized is they didn't have their together. They didn't have it together to even take care of their basics. Their food, water, and shelter were usually threatened because they didn't have an income. They were in a job, out of a job, in a job, out of a job. They were kind of had a job. They sort of had a job. They weren't really have a job. And therefore, their food, water, and shelter, they were moving. You know, they didn't have money to eat out. They didn't have money to get into the meeting. They didn't have money for this. And they wanted to come, but they didn't show up. Most of the time, they didn't show up. Every once in a while, they would show up. But they didn't show up on a regular basis. Why? Because people who are struggling with the basics have a hard time connecting to anybody and just having just keeping it together. The next level up is safety and security. Again, someone that's constantly like, oh my gosh, they're probably going to lay us off again. You know, I have certain friends, I even have family that has chose professions where you get laid off when the weather. If the weather's too cold, if the weather's too rainy, they're not working. And if they're not working, what happens when it's week after week like that? They're stressing, they can't pay their bills, their credit's messed up, their life's messed up, you know, they're arguing with spouse and significant other and everybody else around them because their safety and security is messed up. If you don't have the basics and you don't have safety and security, here's what I know. Most likely it's going to be really hard for you to show up to an event on a weekly basis. Do you still call them? Yes. Do you still promote it to them? Yes. Do you still want to help them? Yes. Because when they start getting those things together, if you've been the voice that's there the whole time, like I've got friends that I can call and be like, hey man, I really need you to come out to this one particular event. We have somebody coming. I'm looking to double the room. I know that you're busy and I know normally you don't. They'll show up. They'll show up for me because I've just been friends with them. That's where influence comes in. The next level up is belonging. This is the group you're looking for. And here's what I can tell you. You have to put in a whole lot of people to get this group. Typically, it's anywhere between 3 and 10% of your entire organization that will hit this level and commit. 3 to 10%. You have 100 people on your team, the likelihood of you having 10 people at an event is huge. Watch this. When you have 10 people on your team, the likelihood of having one person at your event is tough. It's tough. Why? Because you haven't identified where people are on this chart and you're just trying to bring anybody and you don't know what's going on. This is why I focus all of my energy on teaching you how to become a great recruiter. Because if you can recruit and bring people onto your team, you can sift through them once you get them. What most people are doing is you're trying to bring one person onto your team and you're trying to make that person everything. It's a lot easier when you have 40 people to work with to be able to figure it out. In fact, some people just surprise you and go buy a ticket and show up and you don't even know. But you'll see them at the event. It's awesome. So become a big recruiter is what I'm saying. They get to that belonging. The belongers will show up on a regular basis because here's what will happen. We built a culture and we built a team out of people who showed up early, had conversations, did the event, and then we did an after event. Now this is just me. I basically would only run an after event that didn't have alcohol. Just me. Here's why I say that is because there's certain people who have struggles with that. Certain people struggle with it like on a little basis. Some people struggle with it on a big basis where they can't be around it at all. And they're part of programs to stay away from that. I do not want to build my business around something that entices that. Here's what I know. If you add alcohol, you add a list of problems to what you're doing. The likelihood of somebody driving home getting in an accident increases. The likelihood of somebody saying something to somebody or attitudes or, you know, all kinds of other weird personal things happen. People end up talking too long that shouldn't talk or talking too loud. I just cut it off and it wasn't part of my business. Therefore, we were able to grow bigger and faster and had less problems. That's just me. Your company, your people might be okay with it. I just stay away from it. Because I'm looking to grow as fast as I can, as big as I can, without any issues. Now, am I against drinking? No, I'm not against drinking. I'm against bringing it into an environment where I haven't pre-qualified everybody that it's okay with everybody. And what I found is if you get a lot of people who that's their objective is just to hang out and drink, those people don't get a lot done. They spend a lot of money. They're really upset after they leave because, oh, I spent so much money again. Oh, that's a great culture to build with. You know, that's just what I want my people. Oh, my gosh, I went to this event. I spent so much money. Oh, my gosh. You know, my room, my ticket. But the drinking bill and the party bill was just, oh, yeah, that's the culture that you want to build right there. You're going to build a real strong team. But you can bring a lot of people out because there is a party and there's a good time. That's just not what I invest in. So, The next level up is your achievers. This is the ego part. This is the people who want to set goals and achieve things. So you're looking in the meeting, and every once in a while you'll have somebody come to the meeting, and you know. If you've been in network marketing long enough, you know when this person shows up. They'll come in, they'll walk in, they'll sit down in the meeting, and they don't even have to open their mouth. You're like, oh man, that person's going to do well. Like, I don't know what, I mean, can you feel it? If you've been around long enough, you know what I'm talking about. They'll come in, it's one guy or one person or one couple, and they'll come in and you're like, oh wow. And then the next week, boom, and the next week, boom, and the next week, boom, and then you're like, I mean, at first you love them because they're creating the excitement, and then you hate them. You know, kind of, you know, I'm not clapping for them. They won another award, you know, walking the stage again. I've been here. I paid my dues, you know, and that's what you'll go through this emotion, you know, of this roller coaster of being involved, because certain people will come in with talents and skills. And then, here's the thing. If anybody comes in and smashes it right away, they've paid their dues somewhere else. They've learned the lessons that I'm talking about somewhere else. Some people learn it in real estate. Some people have to learn it in insurance. Some people learn it in the corporate world. Some people, watch this, this is sick. Some people have learned it because their families taught them all this crap before they even got to work. I have friends that are teaching their kids this, and they're teaching them how to use people's name and thank people and use their name and eye contact. They're teaching them, and their kids are 5. Like, I've got a good friend. He was teaching his daughter this kind of stuff. I remember him saying, she was like 4, and he's like, what do we say when somebody comes over every time? Oh, hello. He's like, right. And you go introduce yourself and you welcome them, and you don't use their first name. Like, he was really traditional. It's Mr. and Mrs. She's now running some, like, marketing branch of some company. The last time I heard, she was 22. She was 22. She knows 3 languages, and she was hired for some international division working out of Paris. She was like 22. But it was the people skills, how she dressed, how she treated people, and she studied. You know, he taught her to kind of focus, show up every week, the kind of stuff we're talking about. And this is not a CEO of any company. They're not involved in direct sales directly. This is a friend of mine who was a real estate agent. But the principles were the same. Now, here's the last thing. Your job is to show up. Your next goal is to bring somebody with you. Now, what most people do is the rest of their life in the career of their business, they'll try to then get that person to bring somebody. That's the rest of their career in business, is they'll just try to get that person to bring somebody. Your goal is not to get them to bring somebody else. Your goal is for you to bring somebody else and get 2 people in the room. That's your second goal. Your first goal is for you to show up. Your second goal is to get somebody in the room. Your next goal is to bring a second person. Most people will never get that far. 2 people in the room, you will feel like a god in most companies. It's even better when the 2 people in the room are on 2 separate teams. Especially if you're in a binary. If you're in anything else, it's good too. Then what do you try to do? Double. Go from 2 to 4 people. That's your next goal. Once you have 4, what's your next goal? 8. At 8 people, you almost take over a row in most rooms. And when you have an entire row of people, it gets good. I'll never forget when we went from 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, and we show up to this one meeting, and it just so happened my upline in this one particular company was always a nervous wreck. He couldn't understand why he didn't sponsor people, but he was always a nervous wreck. He was always worried about what was going on and who and where and how. And he's like, oh my gosh, you know, where are all the people? Like, I don't know where everybody's sitting. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. He's like, no, but we have to this. I said, no, we don't. I said, what's happened is the business has now grown away from you. I realize that you haven't understood that yet. The business has now grown away from us. I said, here's what's happened. There's so many people in the room that are on your team, you don't know them all. I don't know them all. I said, but what we'll do is we'll send a text out during the meeting for everybody to meet up at the end, and then we'll introduce ourselves to everybody. So just relax and focus on the speaker. Oh, okay. At the end of the meeting, we sent a text out, and people got up from the back of the room, in the middle of the room. I was like, I don't even know these people. And that's the goal. But here's the thing. If you don't get yourself to the damn meeting, it won't matter. Right? I mean, you have to go. Then you have to get your first person. Then your goal is to bring 2. Then your goal, watch this, it's your goal to bring 4, not your team's goal to bring their 2. Like, because we hear that in training, right? All you have to do is you have to bring 2 and then get your team to do 2. No, your goal is to bring 4. Then your goal is to bring 8. It's your goal, not Bess's goal, not Jim's goal, not Steve's goal. It's your goal. Eventually what I do is you inspect what you expect. I showed up to a meeting, and here's what I'll do. I'll meet people, and I always have my notebook with me, and I'll write down, okay, this person's in the room. And I'll write down A, B, C, D. At one time I had 6 growing, or maybe 7 growing teams. So I had A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, what does that represent? That represents the different teams, and I kept writing down. I was like, okay, on Team A, I have this many people. On Team B, I have this many people. On Team C, I have this many people. And I was inspecting what was going on, so that way, after the meeting, I would call them the next day. Great to see you at the event. 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 So there's 3 things: prospecting, presenting, and promoting. Those are the 3 things we do. We prospect. Why do we prospect? We prospect so we can present. We present and get them in. Why? So that way we can promote them to get to the next thing. And then we start prospecting again. And it just repeats over and over and over again. That's what we teach people how to do. But you take this inventory of what's going on. Here's the thing. Right now, you either are taking inventory or you are the inventory. And it's okay to be the inventory in the beginning. You're somebody else's inventory. They're checking up to make sure you're where you're supposed to be because they have a goal to get to where they're going. When your goal gets big enough, here's what I know. When your goal gets big enough and you get serious enough about your goals and your dreams, you will all of a sudden start producing and prospecting at a level that you can start presenting, that you can start promoting the events. I have a rule. I never bring somebody to an event unless they already know what they're coming to. Meaning, I've already presented to them, and they're coming not for information, they're coming for confirmation. They're coming for validation. They're coming for duplication. They're not coming for information. Does that make sense? Why? Because I don't want to take somebody into an environment where everybody's excited and I bring the one person that halfway through is like, if you would have told me what this was, I would have already told you no. And now you have me in this weird pressure situation that I'm supposed to act cool even though I don't want to be here. And that person's sitting next to you and around other prospects. So my rule is I never bring somebody to an event unless they already have seen the business. Now, that's not taught in a lot of companies. A lot of companies are like, just bring them to the event, just bring them to the event, just bring them to the event. We'll convince them. I just don't do that. And here's what happens. At my events, when I teach this to people, my events have like 100% sign-up ratio. All guests sign up. Why do all guests sign up? Because they already knew what it was and they're coming for confirmation. They're coming for validation of what they've already seen. And when they get confirmed or they validate what they've already seen and they like the people, they sign up on the spot. Rather than, watch this, at the end of the meeting, you're like, so what do you like best about, this meeting? And they're like, the fact that it's over. What did you like best about the meeting? The fact that it's only 15 minutes home and I drove. That's not what you want to hear. But that's what I hear at a lot of events that are pressure-based events. I don't pressure people in. So with that, that's what I have for the open house. I hope you guys got some different stuff here. that's kind of my goal, is to share with you things that what I found is you will forget more than you remember. And as I'm reading through these notebooks of years and years and years of being in the business, all these 1% things are coming back. And I just want to share with you guys so that way you have a gamut of stuff that all relates to these 10 topics. Because there's just really 10 things, but inside of each one of these 10 things, there's probably a bunch of little things that you can basically chip away at. And every chip that you basically, every polish that you get, you become a better version of yourself, and you're able to succeed faster with less resistance. So I'm going to turn this over to Bess. Are you there? Okay, there you are.
Yeah, this is awesome, Jeff. I learned new stuff that I didn't before. Thank you for all of that and all the detail and all the nuances of looking and thinking and acting and everything. And I really love using a meeting for closing rather than educating or giving information. So they're all ready to go, and they just have the final social validation and information validation and all that, and you could use it for that. So I love that. So getting people to events is the most money-making activity in network marketing. We might think it's presenting or something, but it's getting people to events. So here's the main thing for yourself anyway: suit up and show up. Just get there, get there, get there. And once you do, there's a bunch of tips. But I want to go back to what Jeff said about, okay, you get there, you sit up front, you look and see who's the most influential people, the most connected, or connected to the presenters or other people, and that's where you want to sit, and that's who you want to meet, and you want to get pictures with, and get their contact information, stay in contact with them. When he said that, I wonder what was going through your mind. This is just an internal personal growth check. When he said that, you go, yeah, baby, yeah, that's where I am. That's who I am too. Sitting with these people. Or did something go through your mind like, oh, who am I to go up and introduce myself to somebody like that? I don't fit in with them. They don't, they won't want to know me. They'll say, well, what's this person doing, joining us? So this is a self-esteem check. And if it doesn't fit, then what can you do to change it? What can you do to upgrade yourself? So here's some tips about that. Self-esteem upgrade. See yourself as you want to be until you are. Run a mind movie, a minute in the morning and a minute in the evening, seeing yourself, sitting with these people, knowing the importance that you bring to the meeting. Validate yourself as a human being, but also as, what worth am I to the meeting? When I want to be with other influential people, I need to up my game of what I bring, because it is a sport where we're all team players working together. What can I bring of value to the group? And when I do, then I fit. Dress the part too. I used to do therapies with people where we would all dress up, like whatever that person's weak spot would be, we would have that person wear that costume. Like if somebody didn't have a lot of self-esteem, he would wear a Superman costume and do a personal growth process with that Superman costume on for strength. You can't quite go that far in a meeting, but do you see that the costume makes the person? And it was David Bowie who said, he had all these wild costumes, right? He had many different personas in his career. And he'd get up on stage and he'd just act outrageous and everything. He said it's because of the costume. How he dressed allowed him to operate within that costume like an actor. And by the way, he was an actor too. He took some acting classes, which I think helped him to be on stage and then wear the different costumes. So I have personally experienced too. Mine was Catwoman when I went through that process, and they had me be Catwoman. And I'll tell you, when I put that costume on, I became Catwoman. The clothes make it easier for you to act the part. And we even know that if you make calls at home and you dress up, then your voice and your posture and everything is going to become more confident on the phone than if you're wearing your jammies. I know that. And there are people who celebrate, there's pajama bosses, they say, hey, you can work from home, you can wear anything, you can, be that wealthy person that can afford to dress like anything, or, they stand up in their video and show they have a jacket on the top, but their jammies or shorts on the bottom. And Eric Worre did that one time. He just stood up from his video that he was making and showed that he had shorts on. I think it was a nice suit and tie on top, but shorts on the bottom. But if you do dress up at home, it affects how you feel. It's just like magic. So when you do dress up, you will suddenly be that actor. You act to how you dress. It's really cool. That's why when I decided that I wanted to coach millionaires, I went to my niece, who is an expert in fashion, and I said, Michelle, dress me up. Tell me what to do to fit and move among millionaires. And so she said, okay. And I paid her well to do this for me, to be a consultant for me. And she said, okay. And then she sent me a whole bunch of links. Here's the briefcase you want to get. Here's the purse you want to get. Here's the phone cover that you want to get. None of your, this is the one I have at home, a phone cover like that. I think it's, what do you call it, Otter or something like that. It's really durable and really good for using at home. But when I go to these conventions, I have the beautiful glitter phone cover. I just love it. I love using it. It's not maybe as safe as this one, but it's dressy. So you even have to dress, for a woman, dress up your phone and, bring a certain type of pen, a book, to write things in, and the clothes. And the details matter a lot. There was this article about this woman who was dressed to the T except for her grungy scrunchie. She had her hair pulled back, and it was an old raggedy scrunchie, for to hold back her hair, and they said that just killed the whole outfit. Just killed that one detail, killed the whole outfit. I don't like wearing nail polish, and I do massage for people too, so I do not grow out my nails. But you can, I find that I can still use a little polish, clear polish on them, or a little oil or olive oil or something, but definitely be immaculately groomed. And someone pointed that out to me, like I just like everything to be, all the details to be there. Maybe that might not be your personality type, but those things, they will be noticed. And I do like what Jeff said about dressing and how you dress for women. It was Tim Sales who said on one of Eric Worre's GoPro stages, he said, women, don't distract us with your body. That's just not, that makes it hard for someone to be there and be in a business mode. It's not a favor to anyone. Eric Worre said one time, he made a joke about facial hair. Eric, was completely shaved everywhere, top of his head and chin and face and everything. And he was speaking at this convention. He made some sort of joke about facial hair, like if you really want to be, top of your game, you won't have any facial hair. And he says that, and he looks over, and the owner of the company sitting over there, and he realized he has a goatee. And Eric, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Well, Eric has one now. He does too. So I'm sure that both those men have to work 10 times as hard to be able to wear it. And Jeff, I love your hair back. I just love it. It's unique. And yes, I think people that are that experienced as you are and confident as you are, and put your money where your mouth is. I mean, you put your actions, you don't just speak, you really live the things that you're saying. I've seen you do that. And people like this can afford to have the hairstyle they want, or have some tattoos, or I know one man who was very, very wealthy back in San Diego when I used to live there, and he was so wealthy that he could just wear shorts and flip-flops, you know. But I know he was actually a famous psychologist. And for another friend of mine, was a psychologist actually in the same building as him, and he goes, "I'm not that famous yet as this guy, so I still have to dress up when I come to work." So it's something that you earn, right? You get there, and then you can have your choice of how you want to look. Okay, so back to how you can upgrade your self-esteem. The power pose. For those who can't see me on their phones, the power pose is when you make your body bigger in any way. And when I do this, there's been times when I felt like my self-confidence was small. I just stand there with my elbows out. I feel like, okay, I am Superwoman, Wonder Woman, I'm ready to take on a job. You know, all of a sudden I feel more confident, more capable, more attentive to service and how I can help somebody, more powerful, more ready and alert to do a good job. That's what I feel like. I don't feel like I'm you know, elbowing anybody out or anything like that, but I just feel more present, more capable, more powerful. And guess what? It's like that costume thing. Then I have more to give. I think that self-esteem, the best thing that I can do for my self-esteem is to enter a room saying, how can I be of service today? How can I help somebody here? Can I help with the chairs? Can I greet somebody at the door? Can I help with refreshments? Can I be of use to somebody somewhere? Can I meet somebody? Can I give them a tip that you know, we're visiting? I think, well, you know, they're mentioning they're getting their house painted. You know, I happen to know a really, really good house painter, you know, Cremo house painter. Do they need a referral? You know, do they have everything they need there? Just see how we can be of help, of service, and give tips. Other ways to upgrade self-esteem. You can just look at yourself, take a little personal inventory and say, well, where do I need to upgrade to feel good about myself? What is missing for me? Is it my skills in network marketing? Is it my people skills? Is it my communication skills? How do I shake hands? Best way to shake hands is kind of, you know, direct and forward, not face up would be too limp, and face down would be too controlling. You know, if you shake hands and turn your hand face down, that's too controlling. So just in between, you know, your hand is vertical, not too strong and not too limp of a grasp. That really tells your personality. Make eye contact, but do not stare. Someone told me a long time ago, Bess, you stare. You know, maybe because I'm an artist and I would draw people, I really, you know, get into details and all that stuff. I used to do portraits. And they said, blink. You know, don't stare at people. Occasionally interrupt your stare with a blink. So it's like I didn't even know I did that. So it helps to be around other people. You can ask other people's opinion. You know, like my niece, she said, okay, you know, dress this way, buy these things. And then after I went out and bought all those things, then I invited her over for a fashion show. I wore all the things and the accessories and said, now, does this go together? Does this go together? You know, before I went to the seminar. And she'd say yes or no, or, you know, so I had my dress rehearsal with her. So hopefully you can get somebody like that, or even pay them. I told her she ought to go into this because a lot of people need to know how to dress, and I think that, you know, or even shop for them. She could, you know, look and send links that, you know, of different clothes that she would approve of, and then you could pick your favorite from that. I think that would be a good service. But if, you know, look for who you would trust to have the right skills to teach you. But ask people around you. When you go to a meeting, you can get feedback afterward from maybe your sponsor who brings you to the meeting. You know, was I dressed okay? Did I act okay? Did you see anything that I could upgrade and improve? So what can you upgrade? You can look at your skills. And if you need them, this is a great class to be in. You're in the right place. If you know somebody from your team that needs skills, this is a great place to get the skills and the mindset both. The mindset, a lot of times we cover that in the leadership portion on Wednesday night, but I do like to bring that into the class like I'm doing right now. You might need to upgrade your purpose. Like I said before, that helps me a lot. Whenever I feel shy, let's see, introverted, because that's my nature. I'm an artist, reader, therapist, kinesthetic, massage. Those are things I'm about. So when I go to a meeting, I need to bring my extrovert along to think of others and not myself. The best way for me to not feel shy or hold back or go into a quiet corner is to see how I can serve, what I can give. I'm here to give, not to avoid. I don't want to sit in the back. I want to sit in the front. So every meeting that I've gone to, every class event meeting I've gone to for the last, 20 or 30 years, I always sit right up front as I can get. Front, center. I want to be totally absorbed and listening and attentive and take notes and everything. I want to be real involved. So my purpose though, shyness and low self-esteem, being introvert, being shy, being fearful, which is the opposite of confidence, that is all about me. My attention's on me. Am I okay? Am I saying the right thing? Will they like me? Do I pass their inspection? Will I get criticized? That's all about me. So fear, shyness is all selfish. Selfish. I turn that around by saying, how can I become interested in other people? How can I bring value here? And guess what? The most valuable thing you can do a lot of times for people is just to be interested in them, just to listen, just to ask questions, just to be curious. And say, well, how did you get here? What is your goal with, if you're talking with another prospect, what's your goal with this company? And see how you can edify the person who brought them. Oh, I know, Joe, you are in great hands. He's gonna take good care of you in this business. He's done this and this and this for so and so and so. And so see how you can edify the person who brought them. See how you can learn about them. Oh, you're a school teacher. Wow, let me introduce you to Mary over here. She used to be a school teacher, and now she can teach kids for free whenever she wants to. She doesn't have to do it according to the school system anymore because now she's free to do that because of her network marketing business. So you can connect them with other people that you think might be a good link up for them. Okay, back to upgrading your self-esteem. It really does help to climb that ladder of survival like Jeff was mentioning. Take care of the basics, get those in order, because then you'll feel good about yourself, right? You'll have higher self-esteem. If the bills are paid, if you're taking care of your responsibilities, if you're keeping yourself in good health, it shows and all that. So yeah, another way to upgrade your self-esteem would be get fit. Work out, exercise, even just taking good stretches. I know Brendan Burchard, I don't think he's a bodybuilder, but he stretches a lot and he exercises. He is a motivational speaker, by the way, with a lot of self-confidence, a lot of energy. So take care of your body in whatever way is right for you and your body type. The better that you eat, the more discipline you have, and eating foods that are good for you, putting good food, good gas in your gas tank, the better you're going to feel about yourself. And of course, the less health problems that you have, the more energy that you have, the more you're going to feel like you have more to give the world, the more you're going to feel about yourself, because I'm useful, I have something to bring to the table. I'm a giver. Be a giver. And it's hard to be a giver if you are robbing your energy and putting bad food in, or staying up too late, or drinking, or never exercising. It's really hard to be a giver when you've been robbing and stingy. You'd be stingy with your energy because you're not giving to yourself to then give to others. So good food helps you to feel good, look good, and have the energy. So that is part of climbing that survival scale of taking care of yourself and then being able to contribute to others too. The discipline of showing up on time or showing up early, maybe we're not all perfect at that, but see how you can upgrade that. Do one thing better a day, or get there. If you're late, see if you can get there on time. And if you have a habit of getting on time, see if you can get there a few minutes early, and good things can happen, like Jeff was saying. Show up regularly. If you've been in the habit of getting to 1 weekly presentation a month, see if you can get to 2, then get to 3, and get to 4, and then bring people, and so on. You will feel comfortable if you know the lay of the land, and if you get familiar with meetings, you're going to start becoming more familiar and more confident, and that will upgrade your self-esteem. Another way to upgrade it is to have goals. Up your goals. Upgrade your goals, increase your goals. We just did a month of Think and Grow Rich, and one of the exercises he suggests in there is writing down specific goals of where you want to get to financially, or anyway. You could use this for relationships and health too, but write down specific goals where you want to get to and when you want to reach it, what you're willing to give to get there, to give up, but also to give life to get there, and then write down the strategy that you have to achieve that. Write this in detail and read it morning and night aloud. I now have 3 pages that I've written. I've actually included everything in my life from spiritual to mate and living on a farm, and as well as business, and what I want to make by when, how I want to get there, and what I'm willing to give, including give up beliefs and habits that don't contribute to this. So raise your goals. If you don't feel like you belong or fit with 6-figure people or 7-figure people, raise your goals to that. And when you read it aloud in the morning and night, it's almost like trying on those clothes. It's almost like that Mind movie that I mentioned. You could probably do one or the other. Read those goals and how you see yourself becoming, or imagine for a minute in the morning and the evening. I'm doing this way right now, writing these out and saying them every morning and evening. That lifts my self-esteem and my vision and my happiness and my creativity, and lets cool things come in. Cool things have happened since I started doing this. It seems like I have a better vision. Things have come to me, ideas have come to me how to do things, plans have come to me. So I wrote those down too. So this definitely has changed me, even though I've done it before, but now I'm just doing it better than I ever have done this before. And definitely service is part of this. When I see myself as my purpose is giving to life and serving life, I feel better about myself. All of a sudden, it is a human need. I've studied the needs too and teach them. It is a human need to contribute to life. And so when we do that, our self-esteem rises. We know that we fit with other people who also contribute to life. Okay, bring people along. I have a few tips about that. Well, let me go back to, okay, I'll go back to, bring people along. Know each of your teammates and prospects why. So what you want to do is bring your teammates to the meeting and bring your prospects to the meeting. Why do you bring your teammates? Because, as I heard Jeff say one time, the job of the meeting is to resell the dream to the people there. Not just to the new prospects, but to the people who are in the company. That's why we have to keep going, like Zig Ziglar said, somebody said, why do I need to, why can't motivation last? And he said, well, why do you keep motivating people? Said, because it doesn't last. It's like taking a shower or eating. You have to keep doing it. And the meetings do that and keep feeding you again, just like being in these classes, right? You guys feel better, don't you, than before you get to the class. You feel more uplifted. You have cool ideas and creative ideas, and you understand more about life a little more every time. So in essence, we're feeding you. You know, we're bringing stuff to the table to feed you, and the weekly presentation does that too. It resells the dream to you. So that's why you want to bring yourself and bring your team members and bring your prospects. It helps to know their why, your team members. Tim Sales says you should have your team members, all of your front lines, why, memorized or pasted on your refrigerator so you can refer to it real quickly and real easily. Always refer to their why. One coach that I had used to suggest that we say, so you can, so you can. Let's get to the meeting Sunday or Tuesday night. I'll be there. Let's all get to the meeting. So you can be home with your kids. So you can fire your boss. So you can retire your husband. And so remember their why and always refer to it, because sometimes they forget, go to sleep, get tired, get discouraged, or just believe that it can really even happen. You know, see that vision for them until they got it for themselves. Do invite people just for friendship's sake. That has been successful with people. I know someone who went just to satisfy a friend, said, okay, I'll just go to this thing, and then she'll quit inviting me, and I'll do this for her, but then she'll, you get off my back. So he goes to this thing. He sits as far back as he can with his cap drawn down over his eyes, and he's staring at the presenters like, just try to convince me. It was really, really challenging until one of the presenters mentioned something in their health products that helped blood pressure. Well, he had high blood pressure. So now he's sitting up and attentive, and he walks out a customer and went on to become a top-level earner in the company, because then he saw that. So that can work. Come just because I need people there, or come just for our friendship. Do this for me. So sometimes that can turn a person around. And I like what you said, Jeff, about being a good role model. You come, you bring people. That's self-responsibility. Do what you want people to do. Now, envision a lot of people attending. Don't envision, oh, nobody's going to want to come. Nobody's, that I invite will want to come. And that's sort of expecting the worst. Instead, expect 10 people. See you all sitting in the front row. But remember so hold that vision, but remember to invite about 10 times as many people as you really want there. Because people are going to have last-minute things come up, excuses, or they said yes when they just didn't want to say no to you. They were being dishonest. So invite 10 times as many. If you have a team member and you want them there, you could give them a job, like, will you come help set up chairs? We're counting on you. Will you greet people at the door? Will you bring the ice? Will you bring sandwiches, finger sandwiches, or whatever you might have there if you have anything. So you give them a job, and then that makes them feel important, and they're less likely to cop out at the last minute and say, well, I can't go, or my dog threw up, or something like that. Bring people for the social validation. In other words, if it's a prospect that you're talking to, and it is an attorney, you can say, come to the meeting Tuesday night, because Robert's going to be there. He is also an attorney, and he can tell you how this business has been going for him, and what he wants to get out of this business and all. So you can connect people with like people, but also you have to use it as a closer to ask questions, learn what they. This is a place where you can talk with other people, get any questions answered, and learn more, see if you want to decide to do this. Now, just a couple tips about, see, did I cover that already? Yeah. Sit up front, lean forward as you listen, take notes, bring a good notebook and a pen. Collect stories when you go to these meetings or any company call or anything. Listen for stories. Get your ears perk up, stories about a teacher or an attorney. Then you can take that back to your prospect. I like to recommend collect stories about different professions, about different situations that people in. Like, yeah, I was yeah, I didn't have the money either, and this is what I did. Different situations, so you can tell tell that story to a prospect who's coming from a certain environment, place, culture. You know, there was a guy who was I think Italian. What was he? I'm not sure. Anyway, he was an immigrant, became a pizza deliverer, and worked his way up to as a top earner in network marketing. So if someone wonders, well, you know, I'm an immigrant, you know, can I do this? You can tell them that story. So collect stories. I like to suggest put them on 4x6 cards and file them up behind categories and go through them every so often, so they're at the tip of your tongue when you can use them when you speak or when you talk with a prospect. But that's a good place to capture those stories. I think that those are all my tips. Okay, back to you, Jeff. Oops.
Okay, guys, what we're going to do is I'm going to turn off the recording here, and what we're going to do is we're going to roll through kind of best takeaway, what you learned tonight. We would love to hear a takeaway from what's going on, and then we will actually go through and see if we can answer some questions. Appreciate everybody for staying on just a couple minutes after if we can do this.